Okay, so let's get right into this. Let's learn how to, at least my way, import terrain data into Unity for CourseForge. So let's start off by going online. I use, for at least my latest project and the project that I'm going to use today, um, is going to be the NOAA Data Access Viewer. They've actually done a lot of coastline stuff. USGS, the national map, that's really the main one to go for really anywhere. That's not always the best data. This is actually getting LiDAR data. Lucky us, so we'll start out with that. So we're going to be looking for elevation. It doesn't really matter what you choose here. You can choose anything. We'll do elevation. As you can see, I'm already in here. I'll close out of what I've done. And as you can see, we're going to just scroll in to our location. We're going to be doing Crystal Downs in my home state of Michigan today. So we'll scroll in. As you can see, anything highlighted sort of in the orange is something that they have data for. So we're going to find this golf course right over here. As you can see, we're getting lucky today. Just gets the bounds of the map over here. So I'm going to come up here to that little pencil, pen, whatever you want to call it, draw search area box. This doesn't have to be very precise. Just want to get the whole golf course in there. Great. If you go outside of the bounds of where their data is, that's fine too. I'll just come back with, in your data just as no data. Not too important. So now we can see over here, it's given us two options once we do that. Okay, these are the actual products that it has. For this one here, you can just click on it, and what we're looking for is the best point spacing or best resolution. I already know that this 2012 one gives me the best, which is the nominal point spacing of 1 meter. We can return to the results. 2008, as you can see right in here, giving you the point spacing of 2 meters. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Now, we don't want just the elevation data, we want the imagery to go with it. That's the ideal thing to do. You can go get images from other places and get that to work, but this is just the easiest way. So we're just going to go ahead and add that to the cart. You can certainly do a bulk download, but that's just going to download everything. You don't need everything. You just need this small plot that we've selected. Add that to the cart. Great. But we're also going to need that imagery, so we can come right up here to our imagery button. And great, we have imagery over there too. Not too surprising. They have two different options. They have infrared and color. We're going to go with color, and we're going to do our add to the cart. Awesome. Come up here to our cart, and here is what we've selected. Don't have to do anything here. Hit the next button. Now it's going to ask you, what are you looking for in your options of all this stuff? What's worked best for me is keeping all this projection datums the same. You always want to make sure your grid size is as small as possible. It will automatically do that for you. Raster output is what you're looking for here. Raster is going to be an image file format. We're choosing the GeoTIFF 32-bit. Okay, there's all these other ones. GeoTIFF is what I use. It works as good as anything else from what I've seen. You can choose whatever you want here. You can leave that, but definitely make sure fill small gaps is checked. It will help out a lot. And we're just looking for the ground data. Going over to our imagery now. Okay, I like to change this to be the same as what we had over in the LiDAR data. GeoTIFF is good as well. So we're going to go hit next here. It's going to ask you for some details. Go ahead and put this in. It will send you an email and also take you to the page where you can download this stuff, and I'll pick you right back up there. Okay, and we're back. So right here we are on the download site for the data that we've requested and had in our cart there. You'll receive an email showing you how to get to this website once everything's ready. And as you can actually get an email as well, so you can see as it's being processed. Something happened with this elevation file here. It's still not done, and I don't know why, so I went ahead and re-sent that in, and we got a new file in the other tab I have open. As you can see here at the bottom, we have the download link for this file here, which is the image. We're just going to go ahead and copy and paste that into the new. We're just going Google Chrome, and that'll get that downloaded there for us. The image is always a little bit larger than the elevation. Here, hop over to the other tab, and let's get the elevation as well. So we'll let those get downloaded. And we're going to hop back over into our desktop here and right into the file. And delete that out of there so we have a nice clean slate to start with. So these are zip files. We're going to go ahead and get in here, and there's a TIFF file in each one of these that we just need to extract out of each one. And those are the files that we want to work with. Okay, let's hop out of these zip files here. And now let's actually hop over into VT Builder. VT Builder, you can go online, just search for VT Builder. Nice, easy thing to find and download, install all that. I've had a lot of good luck with this so far. So we're going to start by going into the layer and import data. I'm going to go ahead and do our elevation data first, which is going to be the black and white TIFF file here. So go ahead and hit open. And same thing, we're going to do import data again, and we're going to do image this time, and we're going to do our overlay and ortho imagery file. And open. The big thing here that you want to remember, we need to see the image. So in order to see the image, you have to choose the no. If you're going to choose the yes, you will not actually be able to view the image. You will be able to use it, but you won't see it on the screen. But we do need to see it, so we're going to hit no. So I'm just going to let this run for a little bit. As you can see, it's just going to take a little bit, and I'll come back when it's all done. You can see here it is just about done, and there we go, it is done. Awesome. Opens that back up, we don't need that. Perfect. As you can see, we can see the image in here now. We can turn the image on and off, and we can see the elevation right below it. Things will be pretty darn close into the direct lineup. I know it's not the easiest thing to tell, but I know they are. So you can use the center wheels button or scroll wheel on your mouse and to zoom in and out. Click it and hold it, and you can drag it around. Not too important. We'll go ahead and just get back out into that normal view. What we want to do now is use the area tool, not the menu, but we're actually going to use the tool right now to start. This is where you select the area that you want to do something with. We don't need this whole area. I always like to download a little bit extra and then work with it in here. So I'm going to start right down here. Give yourself ample space around the golf course. You don't want to put yourself into a situation where you just didn't have enough terrain to maybe do the edge and the panorama of the golf course. Just want to make sure you give yourself ample space. I know Mike Jones, I think in the forum, was saying something about 100 yards or per se beyond the edge of the golf course we want to include. So something like this, we are going to cut it down in size a good bit there. So first thing, once we have that selected, we're going to do is go into the area tool menu, and we're going to go ahead and sample the imagery. So the imagery, we will actually go right to a file. Go ahead and click this 3 buttons to show where you want to save it. Choose your options. Okay, we're going to go call this Crystal Downs overlay. Make sure this is extremely important. You have to choose a file type here, otherwise it won't have a file type and it won't work. JPEG is what I like to use. There's no point to go any higher resolution than, or higher quality than JPEG. It's plenty good enough to be an overlay for your golf course. Go ahead and hit save, and everything here is just going to stay as it is. Hit OK. Everything went successful there. Perfect. The next thing we're going to do is go back into the area tool menu. Now this time we'll do the sampling of the elevation. Now here, if we try to go to the file, I'll show you, we're getting a BT file or a gzipped BT file. I've never even heard of those. So we aren't going to do that. We're going to create a new layer, and there's actually a way that we'll export it out. The most important thing you want to do here is fill gaps in the sample grid with interpolated values. That's the one thing we want to make sure is checked. Nothing else we will fool with. We will go ahead and hit OK. Perfect. As you can see, there's that new elevation layer. And we are now just going to get rid of the old elevation layer. We don't need that one anymore. So now we'll hop back over to the elevation menu option, and we're going to go export. Now, I've done a little bit of this, and I fooled around with this file, and there's a couple different options that you can choose here to make it work. The two that I like to choose are the PNG 16-bit grayscale or the BMP bitmap. I know that the PNG 16-bit grayscale for this file specifically does not work at all. It just turns out terrible. I know the bitmap does, so we're going to choose the bitmap, but feel free to experiment with both and see which one you like. But either one of those formats is going to work most of the time. At least one, if not the other, will work with Photoshop and what we need to do. So I know we're going to this time choose bitmap. And we're going to save this one as our downs elevation. Perfect. And everything was successful. Right? We're just going to leave this open. We are going to need to access this again. I'm going to hop that back on top. Go ahead and minimize that, and we're going to hop into Photoshop. We go open the file, and there is our cursor downs elevation, and we're going to go ahead and fool around with that first. So the most important thing that we need to do here is make it a square. And once we make it a square, we need to make it the right dimensions of the square. There's two options that you can really choose that I recommend choosing. Just like the base layer for your CF tutorial, terrain in CourseForge, 2048 is what they use, 2048 as their dimensions. For this file here, I know we're going to use the 4096. Both those are dimensions that you can use. It all depends on the size of your terrain at this point. We don't want to really make the terrain smaller, we only want to go larger. So if we're under 2048 in resolution, we can stop at 2048 and everything's going to be perfect. If we're over 2048, we want to go up to 4096. And that's in our largest dimension there. As you'll see here, we can go into the image size under image, and that's going to show us our width in pixels is 2687 pixels. So that's not less than 2048, so we are going to have to bump that up to 4096. Now, first thing we need to do though is make it a square. And we'll actually do that in the canvas size. Because this is not going to affect the image, this is going to affect the canvas. And we don't want to spool the image yet until we make it a square. So I'll hop this back over into pixels. And we're just going to bump this up to 2687. You can do this however you want. And I am actually just going to do the anchor point at the top, just creating that bottom side where you can't see it to be the no data section. So we're going to hit OK. As you see, just plain black. When you import that into Unity, that's going to be terrain elevation 0. That's perfectly fine. That's far enough away from the golf course. It will not matter. Okay, so we are going to. Well, that is the one thing about these bitmaps is they do come in a little wonky. This is actually upside down from what it was in Terrain Builder. PNGs will come in normal. Just side note there. So now we can go into the image and go into image size, and we are going to bump this up to 4096. And we do want to resample, and you can choose automatic however you want. We'll go ahead and bump this up. And make sure that this is checked, or make sure width and height are both 4096. You don't want to screw around with dimensions. Double check. I don't know why, but it's not giving me the option to do those, so I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And the last thing we're going to do is change our mode. You can do this first too. At 8 bits, that's going to be fine. So, and we will switch this over to grayscale. Not really going to change anything, but that's what Unity likes. We are now good with our elevation file, and we are going to save it. Some elevation, and we're going to save that as a Photoshop raw file. It's not really specifically Photoshop, it is just a raw file. And we're going to go ahead and hit OK. Now it may ask you sometimes there, depending on the file format you're coming from, if you're going to encode that in Mac or if you're going to encode that in Windows IBM PC. So when you're in BMP, that is going to be the Windows format. So now let's go ahead and open up the overlay. And we have our Crystal Downs overlay there. And open that up. And all we need to do here is go to our image size, or not our image size, go to our canvas size, and have the anchor point be the same spot. It needs to be there, because the bitmap is opposite of this. We go pixels, and make it 4916. You just have to be aware of how the bitmap or PNG comes in, and make sure that you're using the anchor point in the right spot. You can just do an anchor point right in the dead center and not touch it, and you shouldn't have to worry about it ever. So I'm just doing it just so I have dead space off my lake there where it's going to be low anyway. So I will now save this, and I'm going to just save this as my Crystal Downs overlay over the top of what I have. Yes, I do want to replace it, and just keep at those standard settings. I like to keep this quality nice and high. We are now good in Photoshop. We'll keep everything open just in case. We're ready to go into Unity. So first thing we want to do is go into the game object and click 3D object where you are creating a new terrain. We do have Perfect Parallel already up and running here. Once we are get that terrain in, we are going to hop into the terrain inspector here. In the settings tab right there. This is going to allow us to import that raw right now. I'm going to navigate back over to that Crystal Downs folder I had and do the Crystal Downs elevation.raw file. And hit OK. Now it's an 8-bit. 8-bit, 16-bit, not a huge deal either way. Width is 4096. Height is 4096. It already does that. Byte order windows. Flip vertically. If you're using the PNG, you want to flip the vertically. I believe, if I am correct, the BMP or the bitmap, you do not need to do this. I don't understand why it does all this flipping and all that, but it does it, so just watch out for it. You can always fix it in the end anyway by re-importing and hitting the flip vertical anyway. So we're going to go terrain size at 2048. Just an arbitrary number. This number does not matter that much. I just like to keep it here. Just a good baseline. And then I like to keep my Y at 100. The Y here, took me forever to figure this out, is your height. This is your width, this is your length, and this is your height. Confusing. I don't know why it can be width, length, height, but that's how they've done it in Unity. Not the same organization there, different organization here, whatever. You can go ahead and import, and everything's going to work perfect. And there we go. As you can see, we have some elevation. Yay! Took me forever to get to this the first time. Now do it every time. You'll be right there with me quite soon. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get our overlay in here too, because we want to know where we should draw our shapes. So let's go ahead and back over to our folder. Take this Crystal Downs overlay now, and take that, drop that right into your Unity folder. Go ahead and minimize out of this. Now we have our overlay in. Perfect. We're going to max size, bump that all the way up to the 4096 real quick. Otherwise you won't have the full resolution. We'd like to have full resolution. And hit apply. This will take just a couple moments, I hope. There we go. Now we will select our terrain over here in the hierarchy, and we can go into the paint texture button. What we want to make sure is when we do this next part, we don't want any textures in here. The whole point of having no textures in here to start is that when we add our new texture in, our overlay, it will automatically apply that texture to the whole terrain. If we have any texture in here already, that won't happen. You'll have to go ahead and paint that on the whole thing. You can certainly do that. It is something you can do. It just takes a little bit longer. So let's go ahead and add our texture and select that, and there it is, our overlay. Our size here is going to be 2048, the same size as the terrain, not our imported file size, just the terrain file size. All this will change, but just for starts, this is how we're going to do it. And there we go. Now the first thing I like to do once I get this in here is look and see how well you did. Okay? It's harder to see like this, but everything seems to be pretty darn close, right? I mean, let's put it relatively smooth. You can sort of see over there that bump is a little lower. You can see that there's a little mound right around the edge of the fairway there. Fairway goes around. You know, and continue to look around, make sure there's nothing out of place, make sure you don't screw anything up. Because I am definitely very liable to screw something up. Don't worry about the scale of the elevation yet. We still have some work to go. And nothing looks crazy out of place. Okay. Looks like everything's good. It was a good import. Okay. So now what we have to do, now we have this in here, is we have to make sure everything's to scale for the game. Everything's to scale in a portion in relationship to itself, but we don't know how close it is to the game. That's why we're going to hop into Google Maps. Google Maps is your friend. And what we're going to do here is we are going to try to pick 2 arbitrary points and measure the distance. And then do those same 2 arbitrary points in perfect parallel, measure the distance, and figure out the relationship between the two, and eventually get those to be the same number. Okay, so let's go ahead and pop in here. So I like to pick points that are nice and easy to find. We can do this corner of the building right there, a nice easy point to always find. And we're going to right click and hit the measure distance. I'm going to pop up, and I like to choose something a little bit further away, a couple hundred yards, and I'm going to choose, see this bridge right here? Let's do that just a far left of that bridge. There we go. Okay, 1,133.5 feet. Go ahead and open up the calculator so you can see my incredible math skills at work. Divide that by 3, and we're going to get yards. 377.85 yards. We'll just go ahead and minimize that now. Let's hop back over here. Get perfect parallel loaded up and going. And we need to measure. Doesn't matter what hole you're on at this point. We went from right there and all the way to right there. We can fine tune this. I will show you this little trick. If you want to see more details of the terrain in the overlay, or I should say more details of the overlay rather than the terrain, go ahead and uncheck this little light there. Look how much easier it is to see. So those details right about there. Go ahead and down here, make sure we're right on the money. And we'll go back to the output. There, probably. Okay, 316 yards is in-game distance. And on Google Earth, we had 377. That's 316. So 377. So we actually need to make our in-game larger. So we're going to take our in-game size, divide that by our out-game size. So add that to memory. And now we will know our in-game size is 316. Divide that by our out-of-game size, which is the memory call. And we're going to get our percentage. And now we're going to take our memory clear. And take that number again, memory plus. And again, 2048. Divide that by this number there. No, let's do that again. 2048. divide that by the memory recall. And that was wrong. Okay, let's try this again. Don't laugh at me too hard. My math skills are crappy. Okay, let's take our out of game resolution. 11335 divided by 3 equals. Here's just where it's in game. Okay, we'll divide this by our in game 316. Now multiply that by 2048. We will get 2,448.74. That is the size that we're going to need to make our in game. So we'll hop back over here, click on your terrain, go to settings, and check this number 2,448.7. I think you can do 0.7. We're going to find out. Let's see why not. And that's going to be the perfect terrain size. Next thing we're going to do is we need to figure out the elevation. So let's go ahead and figure out the elevation. Go hop into the VT builder. And the cool thing is wherever your mouse points, it will give you the elevation right down here in the bottom right corner of that point where your mouse is. So what we need to figure out is figure out 2 more points that you can measure what the elevation is. You don't want to do buildings here, you want to do something sort of flat. Not a green because that has elevation, but T boxes are what I have found to be the best. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this T box here, we're going to do it towards the back at 690.84. So let's try this T box up here, 717.13. Let's go ahead and subtract those two. So 717.19 minus 690. Let's go ahead and get that number again. 690.8, so it's like 690.1, but we'll do 0.8 just to be really perfect. Equals 26 foot change. And that is in feet, which is perfect because that's what Unity is in, or at least CourseForge. So we chose this T box here, the backside. All this into view. And CourseForge going again. Choose that measure tool. Choose back here. All the way up to about the center there. 16 feet. We have 26 feet. So we need to actually get our elevation 10 feet higher over that distance. So 26.39 probably measures out 26.5 is close enough. 26.5 divided by 16, 1.65. Now this is the beauty of using 100 as your starting elevation. So you now just have to type in 165.625 and you'll have another number. So come back over into Unity, hit your terrain, and all the way down to your settings, and 165.651. Let's be honest, 0.6 is going to be close enough. And let's go ahead and reset that. Now we have it at 27 feet, which I think we were at 26.6. So it's within a half a foot over 180 yards. I think we're doing pretty good. You guys can be more specific if you want to. That's good enough for me. And I don't know about you, but that looks like we have our elevation in there. Now it's going to take a lot of smoothing out, but everything has all relations. Or does it? It doesn't. Ah, we screwed up. And this is not a bad thing to show you. What did we forget to do? We forgot to resize our texture when we resized our plot. So let's go back and do the train. We're going to have to redo some stuff, but it's good for you to see a screw up and recognize it. As you can see here, that should not be on the side of the hill. You can see there's a screw up. So hop back into this texture. Let's get these numbers. 2448.7. Why the point 7 is not there. Okay. 2448.7. Let's fix all of these mistakes. Now we can go back into here. Add a texture. 2448.7. 2448.7. Now we can apply it. And there we go. Now that looks a little bit better. Now that being said, now this measurement was all off. So let's go ahead and redo that measurement. Now it's supposed to be 26 some odd feet. Back into CourseForge. Get that measure tool out again towards the back here. Up to the center there. Let's see what 42 feet. Way too much. Supposed to be at 27. Almost half of that. So we'll see. So we know it's supposed to be about 26.5 feet. We have 42. So let's take our calculator back out. Should be taking 42 divided by 26. No, it's going to be 26 divided by 42. Giving us 61.9%. And let's go ahead and back into our train settings. So we're going to take 165.6 and take 61.9% of that. And 102.51. Pretty darn close to 100 where we started out at, which is pretty cool. This one, 5.1. We'll just leave that at 5. Go and click on here to get that set. And now let's go back to the CourseForge. We drop that 26 feet. Probably 26 point some odd feet. So here again, within a foot, which is close enough for me. So now let's go ahead and scroll around our terrain. As you can see, as you get closer, a lot of little bumps. If you wanted to, you could probably try to clean this up a little bit in Photoshop before you get in here. But overall, smooth that out, and I think you'll be surprised. Everything looks pretty good. Look at that, house on a cliff. That has got to be a gorgeous view. I think that's going to about do it for me. If you have any questions, just find me in the forums, and I'll be happy to try to help you out through anything. Hopefully I don't screw you up any more than you already are. And have a good one.